On the phone with us now is Texas Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman, thank you so much for being with us.
Good to be with you.
Now, each day of the congressional hearings, automakers seem to be getting closer and closer to some kind of taxpayer-funded bailout, and the government taking a stake in what are three failing businesses at this point. In your opinion, has the auto industry made the case to be saved?
No, they haven't, because from my viewpoint, it's impossible, because I don't believe in nationalization. And this is what's going on. We've nationalized the mortgage industry and the insurance industry, and of course the banking industry has been pseudo-nationalized for a long time. Now they want to nationalize the car industry, which is abhorrent to the principles of liberty and free markets and what America's all about. So they can't make the case, and actually Congress can't make the case that they're supervisors. How can they run a car company? So the whole process to me is absurd.
So even the idea of a Nancy Pelosi introduced a car czar, that's not something that you'd be for then?
No, I see that as rather silly and based on economic ignorance. I mean, how can you have somebody in Congress or somebody appointed by Congress to be a czar over the car companies? As bad as the car companies are, I mean, Congress is a lot less knowledgeable about building cars. I'm sure they would have, and they've already put pressure on car companies and all our businesses to do things that are mistakenly wrong. You know, they do the wrong things. It's just not because we have inept car management. It's also government policy, especially monetary policies, that cause business people to do the wrong things.
Who has the share of the blame? I mean, is it federal intervention? Is it the car companies, or is it even, in some cases, the unions? I mean, the United Auto Workers has such a stranglehold on that industry. Is that a concern of yours?
I think all of those, but I think the number one cause is the Federal Reserve that creates credit out of thin air, prevents people and causes people not to save. So interest rates are artificial, and interest rates are key to a market economy to tell consumers and business people what to do. But then once the business people do the wrong things, then you get inept management. But I think the labor costs are very, very significant. I mean, it's not a surprise that Michigan's in worse shape than Tennessee or South Carolina, where they have car companies who have made profits. So the doubling the market wage, and maybe the market wage might say it's $40, and the car companies in Detroit are paying $80, so that has to be a significant factor.
Now, a story came out yesterday about more than half of homeowners who had their loans modified to make easier payments for them, and they've defaulted again. Now, is a homeowner bailout coming, and is this in the best interest for the nation as a whole?
It's coming, and it's in the worst interest of the country, because if we want to get back to growth again, we have to allow the elimination of all the mistakes. People who bought houses that shouldn't have, people who have too much debt, it should be liquidated, and we can go back to work again. We're doing what we did in the Depression. We prolonged the correction. We propped up prices, and now we're propping up prices of things that are worthless. They call them illiquid assets, but it's a tip-off. They're illiquid because they're not worth anything. So if somebody does not qualify, even with an adjustment of a loan, then we shouldn't be propping them up. The prices should go down, and people who did save money and are more frugal and need a house, and the price becomes at the right level, they should buy the home, and they should, put their 20 or 30% down, and prices will stabilize. But right now, trying to prop them up and give people a bailout. But I do believe the bailout for the individuals are coming. In the last year, it's been the bailout of the corporations and the financial institutions. Now, the big bailout is going to come to the individual, and that's what I think will prompt a severe attack on the dollar and a lot of inflation.
And do you think that's going to be coming not only with home loans? I mean, there's massive amounts of credit card debt as well. I mean, these banks are under a lot of it. Is that
they've
coming?
already started on that. They've allotted credit already to help student loans and credit card loans. And that will come, because the mentality here is nobody fails. And of course, in the market, although I'm such a strong believer in it, in a way it's tough. If you're a businessman and you mess up, when the market's working, you're supposed to go out of business. And if labor cost goes up too high, they either have to increase production or they have to lower their wage. So it is. But the market is designed to help the consumer, And yet now everything in government action is designed to help the businessman, even if it takes nationalization, or the unions who put a lot of pressure on them. That's why in all these hearings, how often did we hear it come up challenging a union member or somebody else? Even the businessman, when they're asked, well, don't you think wages are too high? They would deny it. They would say, oh, no, that's not a big problem, because they're intimidated, because they're bowing and crawling to liberals who are owned by the unions. So we're not getting to the bottom of it, and that's why we can expect this thing to last a long time and get a lot worse.
So, I mean, do you think that people just need to realize, like, you have to get rid of your 3 boats, your 3 cars, your jumbo mortgage? I mean, are people going to have to, take some responsibility at this point for themselves?
Oh, sure. It's just a matter of when, and some have already. If an individual, in ordinary times gets in over their head and they borrow too much and their business goes bad or they lose their job, they have to quit spending, back off, work harder, take another job, pay off their debt, or go into bankruptcy, and then go back to work again. But if you prolong it, then it just keeps us from getting back to the basic fundamentals where you can have economic growth again.
That's great. We'll end it there. Congressman Ron Paul, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.